Hello everyone. Thank you so much for coming to help us conduct this experiment today.
So I could guess that this is a social experiment.
We were of different ages. We were made to stand in a line and we were asked very simple questions.
I just knew there was something and you wanted me to come and answer a few questions.
I had no idea what I was walking into.
Now I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions. If your answer is a yes, step forward. If it's a no, please step back. Here goes. Ready? Did you learn how to ride a bicycle before the age of 10? Did you learn music in school? Did you take any lessons in sports? And no, video games are not a sport, even if it has the word game in it.
In the beginning, I think the questions were more general. People were still going forward and backward. Questions it was funny to see the cooking question. There were a lot of men who went ahead and there were women who were going behind.
Do you usually make all the household bill payments yourself? Do you know the circle rate in your area? Do you know the price of gold today? Do you know the exact breakup of your salary?
As the questions unfolded, the stark difference came out visibly.
Do you know the details of the financial documents you're asked to sign? Have you bought a vehicle in your own name without consulting anybody? Have you bought insurance policies unassisted?
Women handling certain responsibilities regarding their own life, which were always passed on to someone else in the family or the men.
Do you watch or follow the budget?
You think you're doing okay, but then you're like, okay, these are kind of important things that I don't look at and I just ignore.
Do you manage your own finances and earnings unassisted by a spouse or family member?
There was a slight unfairness I realized at that time. But at that point, it seemed normal.
I was upset. I wanted to be at the front of the line because I have a competitive streak in me. So I was like, why don't I know this? Why am I not confident enough to say, yes, I am able to understand this and move forward confidently without questioning myself twice?
Do you know the difference between a mutual fund and an SIP? Do you make the investments for your family members or your spouse? Do you file your own income tax return?
It was quite an eye-opener for me because I always depended on the men of the family to take care of my investments and, plan my future, which I just feel that really needed to change. And after today, I'll make sure I take all of that in my hands.
Now, everyone who's in front, could you please turn around and look behind you? Initially, when you guys started moving, there wasn't such a big gap.
It doesn't have to be a gap, but I felt that obviously men are more into it than women. So eventually I did expect the gap to be there.
Mostly I question myself why I haven't taken that initiative to be a little more proactive with just knowing about where my finances or where my parents' finances are on a day-to-day basis.
My question is, when did this gap start to occur?
The minute the questions became about managing money, the gap between men and women became very clear and evident.
I think what's interesting about this experiment as well, it enables you to identify those gaps, especially when it is at home. That's something that I've noticed and observed over the years growing up, that, there were certain very traditionally masculine tropes that were assigned for him and certain traditionally feminine tropes that were assigned for me.
In fact, from the very young age, if a daughter or a sister starts asking too many questions, she's supposed to be probing. And for women, it's practically debarred to learn to know and to focus on money.
I wish I had known from the beginning of my childhood and kind of thought about that I would be doing so much better.
There are two separate ladders. Men have all of the sort of rungs of the ladder and women have the first rung, and they have to kind of leap to the second rung.
I want to teach my daughter, who is all of 4.5. Now, when her next tooth falls, I'm going to tell her to give me an account of what she's going to do with the money the tooth fairy gives her.
Just actionable measures is what we want, really.